It's 3:50. It's time to go. We're getting ready to head out of the door. One of my friends texted and said the gate's backed up. So it seems like the gods don't want me to be a writer, maybe. Who knows? Keeps it interesting. Nervous. We will see you there. It is also possibly gonna rain, probably. So, oh ye gods, do your best. I'm still going.
Get the umbrella, I'll carry.
Here we have it. Rainy day. Rain, rain, go away.
Thank you all for coming out to the Tehachapi Library. We welcome you, and as you know, we have a special guest today, Jeanette Huffman, who is a historian and writer, and we really enjoy having local authors come and talk about their books and the writing process and their background, and just get to know them a little bit, and then and learn more about that process of going from a thought, a story, to an actual book. And so I will let Jeanette talk about her background and her writing process and her book.
Thank you for having me, Teresa. I appreciate it. So I'm Jeanette. My maiden name is Huffman. My married/divorced name is Van Norden. I have two children, 18 and 21, and it has just been easier to keep the last name Van Norden so that when when they were a little bit younger, would go to pick them up, I wouldn't be accused of, "You sure you're not trying to steal them?" And I would say, "Well, you can keep them." So that's why. So I write under my maiden name. But I grew up in Bangor, Michigan, and I actually did a reading there. That was the first of all my readings, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. Very nerve-wracking, still nerve-wracking to this day, but I do enjoy doing it. I joined the Air Force, and it took me all across the world, which we'll talk about in the book. And I ended up in Rosamond, California, where my children were born, and I've been there ever since. So I've been there for 21 years now. Last year, years and years ago, well, 2017, I started writing my memoir. So Finding Bonnie. This book is about my life, from growing up in Michigan, joining the military, to coming to California, which was not what I expected, by the way, and we'll talk about that maybe if we get there. But definitely all very different experiences, and for some strange reason in 2025 I decided that I was going to finish the memoir, and once I did that, I just got this love for writing. I just really liked doing it. You get to be whoever you want. You get to create these worlds that wouldn't exist maybe if you hadn't done it. And so it just kind of like spiraled after that, and I just kept writing, and I bounced around. So I really love history. It's passion. And so most of even the memoir really is historical because it's things that actually happened. But these others are historical fiction. They're just different genres as far as Abigail is Southern Gothic. So I'll try to, that way everybody can see. It's set in Charleston, South Carolina, back in the 1800s. This is actually a true photo of my third great grandmother, Libby Allen, that I used for the cover. And I do the cover art. I do the YouTube videos that I'm told I do too many of by my daughter. She's like, "Mom, you're making too many." But I don't know how that world works, and I'm trying to get the word out about the books. So I tend to go a little overboard sometimes with things in my life. Strange story, huh? Then, after the Ashbourne, we'll bounce over here, I did The Soul Keepers, and that's another historical fiction, paranormal. It's got some gods and goddesses in it, things along that line. After that, I was a terrible daughter growing up, so I pay penance to my mother every year when I go home, And another thing that I wanted to do is write her a love story. A love story that when she read it, it would be like this little fairy tale for her, you know, but a fairy tale set in the 1950s, where she grew up in rural Michigan, with some changes, but just, I wanted to make her cry, to be quite honest, because that is my goal every time I give her a gift, is to make her so happy that she cries. And then the last one, the Ashbourne, wrote that one just because I just really like writing, and that one's a historical fiction based out of Norway. It's got more of a Viking type feel to it, and I really, you know, I went to Michigan, I did the author reading there at the little library where I grew up, and I thought, man, I really want to write a horror novel, but I want it to be based out of where I grew up, because nobody knows where I grew up. It's a little town, you know, nobody would know if they, well, weirdly enough, in the military, you do come into contact with a lot of different people, and they'll, you know, they'll surprise you and they'll say, I know where Bangor, Michigan is, and then I just go, how? It's so little. But so I wanted to base that one out of where I grew up, and just, I wanted it to be really creepy, to where when you go to sleep at night, you kind of just wonder, and maybe even have some dreams about it. So that's who I am, how I grew up, the books that I've written, the process. Teresa actually asked me yesterday on the phone if I could kind of talk about the, I feel like I'm standing awkward. Man, there we go. The process that I use when I'm writing these books. It's not always the same, as you can see, kind of all over the place. I've got love stories, I've got, you know, horror stories, but I do always tend to start with a place, you know. Now, the memoir was a lot of places that I've been all over the world, but the other places, I like to write about places that I've been, and even if it is a fictional novel, I like doing that because I like to be able to remember, what did it smell like? What did the grass feel like? We went to Scotland years ago, and Yuri could not stop laughing at me because every time I saw moss, I just had to touch it, you know? Or there was a little brook running by, and I had to put my hands into it. We went up to Mount Whitney recently, to Whitney Portal, absolutely beautiful, and I had to take my shoes off and go and step in the water, which was icy cold, but the tangible things like that make me feel it, and I remember it, and so I can relive it over and over again. And then I can also relive it in these books that I write. So it's kind of my process. I also have really strange dreams. So the Soul Keepers came to me in a dream, and I woke up and I was just sitting there thinking, that's just too weird. I need to get that down. I need to write about it. A lot of times as I'm writing, not so much the memoir, that was based off my life, and then the love story was really based off my mom and her life. So I didn't really go back and forth with Yuri much, but on the fictional novels, the paranormal stuff, I'll bother Yuri a lot of times, and I'll just say, what do you think about this? Does this make sense? Does this, you know, would this be too out there? And
then you get mad at me because I can't think of something quick enough.
Well, yes, because he has to process for a minute, and I'm just sitting there going, come on, what should she have done in this situation? So that is my process, and that is who I am. Do you have any questions for me?
So you woke up from a nightmare,
Mm-hmm.
and instead of grabbing Yuri and saying, you wrote the Ashbourne.
I wrote the Soul Keepers. I did.
Oh, the Soul Keepers.
I did. I had this insane dream, and it was very vivid. You could see the colors, and it wasn't, the book is not exactly like the dream, but the entire concept was the same. I mean, when I write these books, I imagine that, you know, I'm gonna be coming to libraries possibly, hopefully, if they allow me, like Teresa has, and there could be children here. So I don't write anything that I would not allow my daughter or son to read. I feel like sometimes people take the easy way out and they write certain types of books, and it's just more because they know that that's what sells. I don't do that. So I toned down the dream that I had, but I kept the concepts of it, you know. So that's, yeah, but it was pretty scary. I was definitely sweating a little bit, kind of like now.